Hi everybody, this is Jay from ShopWorks and I want to thank you for attending our webinar today. The subject is customer self-service, and the way these webinars work, first of all, is you can hear me, but I cannot hear you. If you have any questions, I would encourage you to ask them through our question pane. There is a portion of the GoToWebinar where you can type in your questions, type them throughout the presentation, and then at the end of the presentation, I will answer those questions. I won't answer them throughout the presentation. I'll save them for the end. And lastly, this is being recorded and it will be put on our YouTube channel. And I'll show you where that is at the end of the recording. So if you want to share it with some employees, or if you just want to watch it at a later date, you'll be able to do that. So, okay, today's subject again, customer self-service. Before we start on that though, just a little bit about ShopWorks, the company. We used to own an apparel and promotional products business. We're a software company, but we used to own a business similar to yours. And that's where OnSite was born. OnSite is our core product, and it's not generic software. It's designed specifically for this industry. And that industry is screen printers, embroiderers, promotional products distributors, promotional products manufacturers, digital printing companies, award and recognition companies. Essentially anyone who puts logos on things would be a company that would be a candidate for our software. We have been doing this for almost 20 years now, and we have over 850 installations. So over 850 businesses in our industry use our software. And they tend to range in size from 500K to 25 million in sales. That's our customers' annual sales. And so our software can grow with your business from a very small distributorship or screen printing shop to a large distributorship or screen printing shop. And OnSite can run on your internal network, or it can be cloud-based. So you have a couple options there. Okay, so what are we talking about with customer self-service, and why is this an important subject? Customer self-service in general is important because you guys are in a very competitive industry, and customer service can be the difference between you keeping or losing a customer or gaining a customer. So it's one of the ways that you use to differentiate yourself between the competition. That's one reason why it's important. Another reason it's important is customers want it. Your customers, our population in general, is getting younger and younger, and our population is getting more comfortable with technology. And what that means is that people, customers, they want to be able to help themselves via websites, as opposed to in the old days, they would want to call you and have a question answered. More and more people want to be able to help themselves. And therefore, if you can do that, if you can allow them to help themselves, you're going to make more of your customers, or at least some of them, happy. And that's, again, an advantage for you. Another big advantage for a business owner with regards to customer self-service is cost reduction for running your operation. So if customers can help themselves, then obviously they're not tying you up or one of your employees up with calling and asking a question or something like that. So cost reduction is another big advantage of the customer self-service. And another one, I guess this kind of ties into cost reduction, but less receivables and a better turn on your receivables, as customers can pay for orders and invoices online. So if you have that functionality, and I'm going to show you all this stuff, but if you have that functionality, then that can be another benefit of customer self-service and why it's important for your business. So I'm going to do a lot of demonstration in the rest of this webinar, but before I do that, let's talk a little bit about where you are today. And actually, before I continue any longer, if someone could just type in, I want to make sure that you guys can hear me. Sometimes I start these presentations and I don't start it properly. So if someone could just type in that they could hear me in the presentation, I would appreciate it. Can you guys hear me? Okay. Some people have typed that in. Thank you. All right, so scenario one, where you are today. Now, if you're an existing ShopWorks customer, an OnSite customer, this is not going to be your scenario. This is a scenario for a company who has not purchased OnSite. They're using QuickBooks. 3-part forms, spreadsheets, and QuickBooks to run their business. They're doing double or sometimes triple or quadruple data entry. It's difficult to answer customer questions. If a customer calls you and has a question on a sales order, it's difficult. And the reason why is you have to get up from your desk, you have to track down paperwork, you have to call the customer back. So it's a very slow process, it takes time. The results of this, the cost to administer your orders is high and labor intensive because if customers have a question on something, it takes time to do that. Time is money, we know that. It's not scalable, meaning if you want to grow your business, today you're doing 30 orders a month. Well, if you're doing 100 orders a month or 500 orders a month, this problem becomes bigger and bigger, this time problem. So it's really not scalable. And the third thing is it's not the greatest customer experience. So from the customer's perspective, if they have to wait for you to call them back on the phone, that's probably not optimal from the customer's perspective. So we're going to call that scenario 1. Where are you today? And that's for a company that's paper-driven using QuickBooks, etc. Scenario 2 is for somebody who's already purchased our OnSite system. OnSite is our core system, and I'm going to show it to you here in a second. Our core system that you run at your shop or you run it in the cloud, and it's that you do order entry, you do accounting, you do purchasing, you do your production control, and everything, instead of being paper-driven, it's system-driven processes. What that means is that you enter data one time, not multiple times, and everyone who needs that data has access to it. Secondly, the system keeps track of order status, etc., as employees use it, which is very different than a paper-driven system. It's very easy to answer customer questions because with a few clicks of the mouse, you can answer almost any question. And the results of this, the cost to administer orders is much lower. It's very scalable, up to a $50 million business, $25 or $50 million business. And it's a much better customer experience because the customers can get their answers almost instantaneously. So let's kind of look at that. So let's go over to our OnSite system. If you're an existing ShopWorks customer, obviously you're very familiar with this screen. If you're not a ShopWorks customer, this is our OnSite system. And OnSite, again, is order entry and the whole entire rest of your business. So orders flowing through to purchasing, receiving, production, shipping, all the way through to accounting and the whole back end of your business. But what we're going to look at today is let's do a scenario where the customer is calling you and they want to know the status of an order. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what the experience would be like for somebody who has our OnSite system. So if I go into our sales section, this is where we have all of our order information in the system. So I can go in here and I could view all orders in progress. Then I have to sort the orders or scroll through them, and I can see the different information related to each order. But I have a particular customer that's calling me. So instead of looking at all orders in progress, I want to do a find. So I just click on find and I'm going to type in that customer's name. Now this customer, we're working on many orders for this one particular customer. And when I type in their name, I can see all of the different orders that we have for that customer. I can tell them the purchase order, if they give us a purchase order. I can tell them design information. I can tell them what type of order it is, screen printing, embroidery, a point of sale order, and you can customize these to be whatever you want. So these are not hardwired into the system. I can also tell them the status of any of these orders. So I can tell them if the art's been done, if the art's been approved, if the goods have been received, if the order's been shipped, if the order's been invoiced, if we've received any payment on the order. So I can kind of give them a quick snapshot of all the orders. Now let's say one of the customers asked me one of the specifics on one of these orders. Well, I can click into the order. And now that I'm in the order itself, I can even get more details. So I can see date information. I can see design information, including thumbnail images. I can see specifics of that particular order. So in this case, I can see the product that they're ordering, along with some setup charges that we have. If they asked me if I had received a payment yet, I would be able to go over to the payments screen and see if I had received a payment for them. If they wanted to give me a credit card on the phone, I would be able to take a payment directly from the screen. I just click on payment, click on credit card, and follow the process from here. So you can see that this is a very different approach to if you're using a paperwork system, 3-part forms, QuickBooks, Excel, etc., to be able to give customers information, to be able to take a credit card payment. It's a much more cumbersome process. It's a much more manual process, and it's a much slower process. If you have OnSite, I'm able to tell customers information instantaneously over the phone. I'm able to take information from them. If they wanted to change something, I'm actually able to do that real time. Say, for example, my customer wanted to add some ash shirts to their order. I would actually be able to take this item, okay, I've got white, and I'm going to clone it, okay, and I'm going to change it from whites to lights, and I'm going to change the color to ash, and I'm going to change the sizes. They're going to get 12 large and 12 extra large, and let's say my price is $5.50. So I can actually do that with them right while I'm on the phone, and I could confirm it with them. I can even send a proof to them directly from the system using proof stuff. I could go to the proofing tab, and if I wanted them to approve this, I could send them a proof. If I just wanted to send them a confirmation email, I could do that. So I can do that all from the system, all real time, all as I'm talking to the customer. So you can see, hopefully you can see how that would be a huge improvement over doing it manually if you're using 3-part forms or whatever system you're using that's not a consolidated database system. If you're doing it manually, you can see that this is a huge improvement over doing it that way. So that's what we're calling in our little handout here, scenario 2. Scenario 2 is using OnSite. That's not really customer self-service, okay? That's the customer is still having to call you, but at least you're able to give them the information that they're looking for very quickly. So it's a very quick process, as opposed to scenario 1 was a very slow process. So now let's move on to scenario 3. So scenario 3 is customer self-service. And in our world, in the ShopWorks world, that uses 2 of our products, OnSite and then manageorders.com. Let me go over to our website real quick. If you go to the ShopWorks website and you go to products and ShopWorks product overview, you'll see on here, this kind of gives you a little overview of all of our different products. And you can see on there, there's OnSite. OnSite is our core product, and that's the basis for all of our other products. And then we have Proof Stuff, Manage Orders, and Promo Stores. All 3 of these are web-based products that feed off of OnSite. And Manage Orders is one of those products. So it works in conjunction with OnSite. And what Manage Orders really does is it takes your OnSite information and it projects it to the web for customer consumption. So it's a web-based program accessible from a computer, tablet, or phone. So that means your customer can access it from any kind of device. The customer can log in to see only their information, or non-frequent customers can use a guest login, so you don't have to force them to do a login. It's near real time. It is not real-time information. It's near real time. Now, what does that mean? What it means is that data is updated automatically from the OnSite system once per hour. So it's hourly updated. It's not real-time information. So for instance, this change that I made on this order, that will be reflected on my next hourly update. The information is read-only, so the customer cannot change orders that they see on the internet. It's not it's not a mechanism for them to change orders. Now they can send you messages. They can make order change requests. They can request a change to an order, but they cannot actually change it. And the results are a lower cost to administer your orders, because now the customers who want to can help themselves. And as you'll see in the little demo I'm about to do, you can reduce your payment cycle because customers can now pay online. So let's go over to Manage Orders. So how a customer would access it is they would just go to, you have your own URL. So this is our pretend company is called Source Logo. So they would go to sourcelogo.manageorders.com and they would log in. So I'm going to log in as the same customer, Utility Tool Company. Now your passwords and everything for Utility Tool Company are actually set up in OnSite. So if I go over to my customer section of OnSite, you can see here Utility Tool Company. There's my username and password for them that I've set up for them. But first of all, I'm going to log in as an administrator. So I'm going to log in as myself. Oh. Okay, so I've logged in as myself, and you can see in here, there's 3 different levels of login. There's an administrator login, there's a customer login, and there's also an employee login, and I'm going to show you all of those. So I'm logged in as an administrator, and when I'm looking at orders in the system, this is showing me all my orders across all customers that I have set up to use Manage Orders. I have a dashboard view, I have an orders view, I have a payments view, which will show me all payments that have been received in the system. And I can break that into web payments, which are payments that have been taken to the website, or my on-site payments. I have my customers in the system. These are customers that have been set up in the system. Now I don't set up my customer access from here. That's set up from on-site. So you can see here, I only have 13 customers that are set to use my set up to use my manage order system. You can set up all your customers, or you can set up whatever customers you want. And the same thing is true of employees. I have certain employees, in this case it's my salespeople, who are set up to access this system. So if I had certain salespeople or employees, I didn't want them to have access to my on-site system, I just want them to see orders through my web portal or manage orders, then I would let them do that by giving them access. And that access is assigned through on-site as well. Now, I also have system settings, and in my system settings, this is where I set up how my website is going to look, the branding on my website, and you have a lot of control over look and feel. Let's bring up an order in the system. So I'm going to go over to orders, and let's just bring up any order, it doesn't matter. And when I bring up that order, notice it shows me a lot of details: order summary, status on that order, dates. It shows me the different items on that order. I have different tabs here. I have a tracking tab for UPS tracking. I have a designs tab, which will show me thumbnail images. I have a proofs tab, which will show me if there's any open proofs or approvals needed for this particular order. I have a shipping tab, and I have a payments tab. And notice, or what I want you to notice, is that these tabs and the information on these tabs can be completely customized. So obviously you could brand this for your company, the branding. You can recolorize everything so that it would be the colors for your site that match your site. But you can actually design these tabs to say what you want them to say. So if I go back over here to my administrative side and I go to system settings, let's go to my order page. And notice this is where I set up my different tabs. And then within each tab, I'm deciding what information I want to show on each tab. So I can decide, like for instance, on the designs tab, I just want to show designs. On the tracking tab, I'm just going to show tracking information. On the orders tab, though, I want to show a bunch of information. I want to show order summary, I want to show status, I want to show dates, and I want to show order information. If I go to order status options, I can also decide what order statuses I do and do not want to show to my customers. So for example, here I'm showing them if the design's been done, if the receiving's done, production, shipping, invoicing, and paid. On our on-site system, notice on any particular order, I have a lot of other different statuses, but I'm not forced to show those to my customer. I might want to hide some of those for my customer and only show them certain things. So the point I want to make here is that I've chosen to display orders to my customer a certain way, and that way is this way. And I think it makes sense, but you can do it a completely different way if you like. You can change the tabs, you can change what information is shown on the tabs, and certain you can even put notes on certain sections. So for example, in the shipping area, I wanted to specify certain shipping conditions. And so that's just a little note that I put on there, and it displays whenever I have that shipping page displayed to one of my customers. Okay, now let's go back out. Let's log out of this as an administrator. So this is kind of how an administrator works with it. Now let's log out as an administrator. And now I'm going to log in as a customer. And notice at my login, I have two ways that I can log in. I can actually have a full login, or I can just view an order. If I view an order, I'm not actually doing a password. I just put in the order number and my email address. So you don't force users to create accounts or to manage accounts. You can actually just allow people to use their own email address. And if they know their email address and the order number, they can see a specific order. And that's really to be used for if you have customers where they don't order very often, maybe once per year or twice per year, and you don't want to have to force them to manage an entire account, then you can kind of just maybe you just email them, or you just tell them, hey, just go onto our website, manage orders, and put in your order number and your email address, and you'll be able to pull up your order details. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to log in. Now when I log in, I'm logged in as a particular customer, utility tool, and notice it tells me it's branded with your company name on it. So this would be your company, and I can see here I'm logged in as utility tool, and I can see all my particular orders. And these are dashboards, and you can decide what dashboards you want to show people. But I can see orders in progress, 22, orders needing payment, 16, orders with open proofs, 0, 10 orders on hold, and 4 orders that have been invoiced. And I can use these tabs down here to see more details on any of those categories, or I can click on an order to see details on it. And when I click on an order, it brings up another tab. And notice here I'm getting a note, and that note is saying this is a note that was put on our ShopWorks system, on our internal OnSite system. We must receive payment to continue with your order. This is why the order is on hold. If you have any questions, call me. If you do not contact us, then we are not going to continue with your order. So this is a note that was put in the OnSite system that we want to be display in the customer's face, if you will, because we're not going to continue with their order. So we really want this to be something that they're aware of. So they have to close this window, and then they're on their order. So again, on this particular order, they can see all the order details. If they go to the design page, they can see all their thumbnails. And all this information is updated by your server or the cloud server automatically. There's nothing special you have to do. They can zoom in on an image to see more details on it. And notice here, they can make a payment. Now, they can make a payment on an individual order. That's one way they can make a payment. Another way they can make a payment is if they go to this orders page, they can do what's called a bulk payment. And this is a new feature we've only added in the last couple weeks. So if they go to a bulk payment, for instance, let's see open invoices. It'll bring up all my open invoices in the system. And I could put in, let's say I want to pay for this one and I want to pay for this one. That's 2 of them. I'm going to pay $16.88. And let's say apply all. And so you can see there now it brings up a payment window, $16.88. I would put in my credit card and the rest of my information. And I click on submit, and it would pay for those different invoices in the system. So you can pay, the customer has the ability to pay for a single order, or they can pay for multiple orders. So I'm hoping that you see the value of this from the standpoint of allowing your customers to manage their own orders in the system. They can see orders, they can look at order history, they can pay for orders. And again, it's a useful tool in that it takes a lot of the load off of your customer service department. There are some other features in here, the historical features where they can look at payment history. There's a search feature if they go over to orders and they click on advanced search, for example, they can do a search. So if they wanted to narrow instead of looking at orders in progress, if they wanted to see, for example, orders that have been invoiced over a certain date range, they could put that in there. So you can see in here let's put in last month or this month or whatever, they'd be able to put that in there as well. So there's a lot of other features that you can use in here as far as your customer would be able to see as far as searching. And we even have a download feature. So if you wanted to allow them, if they can download the information to an Excel spreadsheet, if they wanted it for their own internal purposes, they have that ability, again, to do that themselves. Okay, so I know this has been kind of a short webinar. It was intended to be that way. That's kind of it for my presentation. I'm going to open the floor to questions. Oh, one last thing I'd like to say about manage orders before I open the floor to questions. If you would like, manage orders is an add-on product to our OnSite. If you're an existing OnSite customer and you'd like to try manage orders, we will do a free trial of it for you. So just contact us if you'd like to go that route. If you're not a ShopWorks customer and you'd like a demonstration of any of our products, OnSite, manage orders, or a combination thereof, again, please contact us and we will be happy to set up a demo for you. If you go to our website, there's a get a demo button all over it. And if you just click on that, fill out the information, we'll get an email and we'll contact you to set up a demo whenever it's convenient for you. Okay, so now I see a couple questions. Let me answer those. If you guys have any more questions, please go ahead and type them in and let me get these answered. Okay, so the first question is from Rhonda, and it is, if we use the Manage Orders program, can we have the link to the login screen on our current company information website? Or do the customers need to go to a different specific website to get to Manage Orders? Yes, Rhonda, you could put a link on your current website to go to the Manage Order site. The other thing you can do is you can actually put, it's called an iframe. It's basically just kind of a web thingy, for lack of a better word. It's I can kind of show you an example of it actually. If you go over to our ShopWorks page and if you go to the ShopWorks calendar, this ShopWorks calendar is actually an iframe looking at Google Calendar. So you can kind of do a similar thing. You could have your web page, then embedded in your web page, you could put your manage orders page. So you can do that. You can kind of brand it within your own page. Or if you wanted to, that would be one way to do it. Another way to do it is you could just make a link that says, order status, and it would just pop up a new tab. So you kind of have some options there as far as how you want to brand it. Next question is from Chuck, and the question is, if you log in using order number and email address, can you see all orders for that customer or only that one order? Chuck, great question. And the answer is only that one order. So let's pull up one and let's show you an example of that. Let's go here. Let's see, I'm just got to find an order where it works. Okay, so let's do this one, 2708. So let's go over here. Let's close this. Let's go in here. Let's say log out. 2708. And there's the order. So it only is going to bring up that one order for that particular customer. If they have multiple orders they need to see, then you're probably going to want to set them up with a full username and login and all that sort of thing. Next question is from Lisa. Are customers paying online? Is this set up with PayPal to accept credit cards? It is set up to accept credit cards, but it's not through PayPal. It's through authorize.net. So the payment gateway that we use for OnSite and also for manage orders is authorize.net, and that same payment gateway can be used for both. And authorize.net is probably the largest payment gateway used on the internet. And you can use lots of different credit card processors can handle that technology. But yes, it does use credit card processing to do that. And it can also do e-checks. You can also do e-check payments, electronic check payments. Price of manage orders. Let's go to our website, go to products, manage orders. It is a monthly service. So we have two different levels of pricing. It depends on your number of users. And then we have two different levels of pricing depending on if you have proof stuff or not. So if you're 1 to 5 users, it's $89 or $99 a month. And it goes up depending on your number of on-site users. And the reason why it goes up based on your number of on-site users is because that drives the total data that you have. And the data is really what drives everything. So that's kind of what the price is driven by. And this is per month. Next question is from Dora, and the question is, we use a separate system for our accounting. Is there an option to not have the payments button not show up on the manage orders page? Absolutely. You can not receive payments through the system, or you could receive the payments in the system and you could still process it. If you're using QuickBooks, you could still process it through QuickBooks or another program. You don't have to push those payments into OnSite. Once the payments are taken off the website, they have to be imported into OnSite. Now that can be done daily. So if I go into accounting, for example, into OnSite, and I go into payments, and you can see here, manage orders, I can go into there, and this is where it will bring in, these are the payments. So you can see the ones that have been approved, I would suck those in. So if you're not using OnSite, then you can just skip this step. You can still receive the payments on your website and then just enter them into QuickBooks. Or if you like, you don't have to, you can just turn that feature off altogether. So really that's up to you. That's up to you how you want to do that. Next question is from Rhonda, and the question is, does the customer only have access to their own designs? If so, do we have the ability to protect those from being downloaded? Concerned about creating art for customers, then taking it elsewhere. Customers do only have access to their data when they're on there. As far as design information, these are only thumbnail images, so it's not really the camera ready art. It's just a thumbnail image. So if you have this as a small image, I don't really think that's going to do them much good. As far as like stealing the artwork. They're probably going to have a copy of the art somewhere, anyhow, from something that you've provided them on an approval or something. So I haven't really heard that as a concern from existing customers, but you do have, they can only see the stuff in their account. Next question, is the credit card information secure, or do we have to make additional procedures to make sure that it is secure? No, it is secure. Everything on our site is encrypted, and it's SSL, secure socket layer protected. So, and it's not stored. The credit card information is actually not stored. When someone goes on here and they make a payment, so let's just say make a payment, and I type in a credit card information and I say submit, once it submits the data over the internet and it receives it and it makes the credit card charge, this credit card information is not stored anywhere. The data is sent secure socket layer to authorize.net. It makes the credit card charge. This data is never stored anywhere. So you never have to worry about, even if someone were to be able to hack this, which is unlikely, there's nothing to hack. There's no credit card information is being stored there. The next question is from Chuck, and the question is, can you limit payments to e-checks or bank accounts and not accept credit cards? That is a good question. I don't know the answer of that, and I would have to check that, to be honest with you, Chuck. So I'm gonna, here, let me take a, so I will research that and get back to you on that one, but I'm not sure on that one, to be honest with you. I'm thinking we probably cannot limit it, but I'm not 100% sure. So let me check on that one. Another question is, what if all on-site users will not be having access to manage orders? Does that affect the monthly cost? No, the monthly cost is not really set by the number of on-site users. It's not set by that. It's just it's not set by the number of access. It's just set by your user count, because your user count is a general measure of the amount of data that you have. So that's just the methodology we've chosen for our pricing model. Next question is from Dora. What if the customer wants to save that credit card to be applied to other future orders? Is there an option to save it? And no, there's not. And we do not have plans to add this in the future. And the reason why is because it opens up a whole can of worms with regards to federal laws and encryption and liability regarding storage of credit cards. Meaning, let's say that the credit cards were stored, and then let's say that the credit cards were hacked. You might be liable for that information. You might be liable for that risk, even though I'm the technology provider, and I might be liable for it too. And there's laws regarding how the credit card information has to be stored, etc. So I can tell you that's something that we probably will not tackle in the near future with regards to storing credit card information. Is there a limit on the amount of customers that have access to the manage orders feature? No, there is not really. There's no hard limit. I mean, we have, customers, pretty large customers of ours who are using this product, and I'm sure that they have hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands and thousands of their customers using it. So we have not run into any problems with. I'm sure there's some limit. If you told me that you had 20 million people accessing the website simultaneously, I'm sure that would not work. But there is no hard limit, and we have not run into any limit problems with any of our existing customers, some of which are very large. So, all right. Does anybody have any other questions? Okay, I'm going to conclude the webinar. Thank you again for your time. If you go to, let's see, YouTube, and we have a ShopWorks webinars. If you go to my channel, or excuse me, if you go to ShopWorks, if you just search on ShopWorks there, you'll find we have different webinars and different stuff on there. You'll see we have our webinar from last week, which was on making your shop paperless. And we'll also have our, this webinar will be posted there later today or tomorrow. So if you just search ShopWorks on YouTube, and you'll find this webinar there for future viewing. And I thank you guys for your time, and keep your eyes peeled for future webinars as well. Thank you.